I'm not psycho. Wake up.
And welcome to another edition of the Wake Up Late with Dougie show. I am your host, Dougie Almeida, and we took a week off, I think. I can't remember. We apologize. Got a lot of crazy things going on here as well. So we're going to try to do it every week, but sometimes we'll miss a week. It's not like you guys are sitting by your computer screen going, where the hell is Dougie? Where's Dougie? I'm sure you're not. So it's an interesting day, matter of fact. And we got a great show today. Unfortunately, one of our guests, Samuel George Catanzaro III, couldn't make it. Good, because it'd probably take all my time to say his name more than once. But he couldn't make it and unfortunately got stuck at work. But no fear, everybody. We got the very talented and very funny Mr. Mark Kidwalk written here with us today. What's up, Mark? How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, can you smell what the wok is cooking? Yeah.
It's funny. I don't know if your ears were ringing a couple weeks ago or so. I'm trying to remember. I told you before the show. I was talking with a comic, and your name came up, and I was like, "Oh, and he brought it. He's like, this guy's amazing. He does voices, and he just sings and all kinds of shit." I'm like, "Yeah, I know, Mark. Yeah, I know." And so here you are on the show. It manifests itself.
Well, that is awesome. That is, I'm not used to comics talking good about me.
Yeah.
I'm from the old school. Back in the old days, we didn't used to do that. Back in that, I don't know how long you've been doing comedy. I did it since '87. So back then, there weren't many comics speaking highly of any other comics.
Yeah, it was more cutthroat back then,
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I was at the Looney Bin Comedy Club in Little Rock, and I saw an old photo of you on the wall when you used to use the name Chinaman.
Chinaman.
It's interesting, Chinaman, because it's interesting because I guess because of the woke state of affairs, is that what caused you to change the name?
Yeah, in fact, in '99, I started going by Chinaman, and it became very successful. I was on all of the XM radio stations, all of the Bob and Tom shows under Chinaman, and every time anybody would say Chinaman, I would always correct them and say Chinaman. It's a superhero, you know what I mean? And but apparently the people just go by what it reads. They don't they don't dig any further. So yes, I had to switch to Kidwalk, which still has an Asian flair to it, and it still gives me a handle because that's kidwalk.com is my website, so I mean, nobody else is going by Kidwalk. You Google that, you will find me. It is only me. Whereas back in the days of the early web in '99, when you would Google Chinaman, it would show me. But now you Google Chinaman, and it shows you all of these stereotypical drawings of Chinamen.
Yeah.
So
like Dr. Seuss photos, right?
Yes, they are those exact ones. That's the one that comes up when you type in Chinaman. That's the first one that comes up now. So
now, as an Asian, you're Asian, obviously.
Yes.
My wife is Asian. I have okay, not just really stoned or anything.
Maybe that is it.
Yeah, that could be it. Actually, I was born in Pittsburgh. I was born in Pittsburgh, but I've been smoking weed since I'm 4, so I look Asian now.
Yes. Chinaman was a cover.
China Man. That's it. Chinaman. I like Kidwalk better though, because I'm a Kid Rock fan. I like Kid Rock. So I like that. Now, again, you're interesting. We met, I think, originally at the World Series of Comedy, at one of the main events. And then I think you live in Colorado, right, Mark?
Yes, I live in Colorado Springs, and we did meet in St. Louis at the World Series of Comedy finals. There, I remember meeting you. You're the fiduciary.
Yeah.
Yeah, because all of the other comics are like, I really need this gig. I really need this, and I need that gig. I need this booking, and you're like, I got extra money, so I'll go where I want to go.
Yeah.
Everybody else has
There's so-
you have a fallback plan. Everybody else is like, well, I'm just gonna quit my job and see if I can tour.
well, the way the market's been lately, especially yesterday, down 800, 900 points. Who knows if I can afford to go tell dick jokes in Colorado again? I was just in, I was just in Colorado Springs at Looney's a few weeks ago. It was a great time to be there. It was one of those times when you're in Colorado Springs. There was a comic one time that was working there, and he had a great joke because it was around that same time. I think it was in October or November when I was there, and it was in the 60s and 70s. That it was beautiful weather. And the guy says, "This is the time where somebody comes to Colorado Springs. Boy, we should move here." And then they don't realize, how crazy the weather can be in Colorado Springs.
Yes, I like it though because in the middle of snowy days, you'll get like 2 perfect 60-degree days where I mean you're just out as soon as you see that day, everything takes a back seat. I mean, everything you had planned, it's like I was planning on doing this, but I didn't know it was going to be this sunny. I'm out, and
Yeah.
that's just that's the thing I love about this weather is that you have those days in between. So it's not as bad as people think. I mean, the summers are amazing, man. Though, just
Yeah.
amazing.
I bet. We recently moved from South Florida where it's hell on earth for 8 months out of the year. And, and we moved to Greenville, South Carolina, where it's amazing. I'm not sweating. You know, I, I mean, I sweat when I get up, to get a piece of cake, but I don't, but I'm not like in Florida, I was just in this perpetual, I'd get out of the shower, I'd be fucking sweating. You'd shower, you get ready to go out the door, you'd walk, you would basically clear the entrance of the front door and the humidity would hit you and you would just start like sweating. Like it's the worst. It's just
Yeah.
unbelievably hot.
And mosquitoes. You have mosquitoes.
Yes.
We don't have mosquitoes. I have not been bitten by a mosquito in 5 years.
Wow. See, that's pretty good because, mosquitoes can transfer all kinds of shit. I had a buddy of mine that tried to blame that he caught VD from a mosquito once.
Yeah.
His girlfriend, honey, I got bit by a fucking mosquito. I knew when I slapped it, it was all bloody. I'm like, what? I hope I don't catch AIDS from this thing. Yeah, I don't
Next
think
time
you
you should
dip
use
your.
a condom. Sorry. Next time you should
Put a-
What's he
put a-
doing fucking a mosquito anyways? How did the mosquito get you? It's sexually transmitted. Don't be sticking your dick in those.
Yeah. Listen, you're okay as long as you don't try to fuck the mosquito. Okay,
Yeah, right.
wear a
Right.
condom.
Right.
Boy, that would be an achievement if you can do that, I suppose. All right, so you've been doing comedy a long time, and of course, I enjoy the voiceover. I've been always wanted to be. Somebody's always said you should do your voiceover. I do a few different dialects and things, and you actually amazing story there. The cartoon Dragon Balls, which
Yes,
you
Dragon
have
Ball Z is what it's called.
Dragon
Dragon
Ball
Ball.
Z.
Only old
Dragon
men call it
Balls.
Dragon Balls.
Yeah, especially when you trip on them on the way to the bathroom in the morning. Dragon Ball Z's, Gokhan, and I got into watching that and it was amazing. The
Yeah. Oh
super
yeah.
series, and they're still around. I mean, now are you still voicing them or what's going on with
Yes.
that?
No. In fact, I did the voices in '99 through 2002. So I'm what's known as the OG for the original Japanese anime cartoon that came over here. Dragon Ball Z came over here, and it was like the first Japanese anime. But then things started to really take off for me in like 2003, and I left the franchise. And I mean, but it became the #1 cartoon, and I'm still touring, doing Comic Cons throughout the U.S. So I tour signing and taking photos, which I mean, I still don't understand it. I'm still trying to wrap my head around. I'm a stand-up comedian, so I normally do something that has merit. I come off the stage, you tell me how good I did. This is,
Mhm.
hey, you did something 20 years ago, and I'm here for an autograph. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Because I describe it like this. I've been a live performer my whole life, so I like that instant feedback. Doing voiceovers is like a tree falling in the forest.
Yeah.
It's falling, but you're like, I don't know what sound it makes. But then when you go to the Comic-Con and you do the voice in front of them, you actually hear the sound that tree made. you know?
Yeah, that
So
it is very different, like even doing podcast or radio, it doesn't
Mhm.
have that immediate gratification, right? When you're on stage, boom, you hear the laughter and it's like, and it
so
gets
sometimes
all
I have a hard
written
time
rich.
connecting the dots on what's happening here. I did voices, but now it's coming to 20 years ago. If I would have stuck with it, I'd probably be a millionaire. Do you know what I mean? I mean, for some
Hmm.
reason,
Hmm.
I don't. It's difficult for me to wrap my head around staying with some of these things that aren't instant gratification. Like a buddy of mine's trying to get me into that TikTok thing and trying
Yeah.
to get me to understand the logic of it and why 7 to 15 seconds is good enough. I in my head it's like, that's it, 7 to 15 seconds. Can you light me at 11? I mean,
Yeah.
you light me at
And
11 seconds.
isn't it amazing though? Because they are talking about like the companies like Netflix, stock crashed, 100 something points last week. And they say one of the biggest competitors that Netflix and Disney and all these streaming companies has is a company like TikTok. And I've gotten in front. I've actually sat with my phone, and you just start watching it. And you just keep going from one thing after another,
Okay.
right?
Okay. Yes,
And
yes.
and like 2 hours goes by. You're like, because you don't think that's possible.
Okay.
How could Netflix be replaced by TikTok?
I don't watch it. When I first turned it on, in fact, as soon as I turn it on, I hit profile in the bottom right corner. Because I mean, I noticed it's like being sucked into a matrix. It's like the weirdest feeling. I feel like immediately you're here. It's like no intro, no
Yeah.
nothing. No, okay, I'm on Facebook. I'm gonna start scrolling. Let me look. This
Yeah.
is, hey, you want to perform? We're performing for you right now. It's like, oh my gosh, get out of
Yeah.
my face. You know what I mean? So
And it's
immediately
loud.
I always just
It,
hit that profile.
yeah, and it's loud because you can have your phone muted, but the minute, like I've been in shows, I've been at a comedy show, I got everything turned off, everything's turned off, and I will look at TikTok, and all of a sudden, hey everybody, what the fucking god,
Yes.
it's like,
Yes, and
sorry.
then everybody knows you're looking at TikTok. I mean, what
It's hey man, I'm trying to do my set, motherfucker. What are you watching
Yeah,
TikTok
yes,
for?
right. Well, I mean,
Um,
he's been trying to help me out understand this because I mean, I just had a video that I had that I did a pot video on 420, and it got over 500 people sharing it. I mean, it's gotten over 25,000 views, and I was like, that's really odd. I mean, so I'm kind of still trying to put together what that means. I still can't
mhm.
equate that to, you know, hey man, that was a good show. Oh, I didn't hear any laughter. You know what I mean? I mean,
Right.
if I don't hear laughter, is it still funny?
Yeah, I mean it's different. I definitely think this is a good local comic here is doing great. Brandon Rainwater was worked with me on my social media stuff, and these clips, like I'll take clips like my comedy. I'll take little clips like maybe a minute, and it's usually crowd work stuff because I don't want to put my material out there. It's usually crowd work or little interactions and stuff, and they get the shorter sometimes the better because people just and they say the key is the
Yeah.
photo, the cover photo and whatever you write on there, it's huge because somebody will look at that as clickbait and I'll go, oh, what the fuck is this? You know, I
Wow.
had a bunch of videos with my hair all messed up. I had my hair and it's all sticking out. I'm
Yeah.
doing this shit, and people are just watching because they saw my hair all over the place. Like, what the fuck is this weirdo? And they they
So,
watch the
so
video.
man, so we got to think clickbait is what we got to think. You
Yeah,
know. So,
yeah, and
yeah, when you were asking about the voice thing, I think I took us off track of the voiceover thing. I was
right.
explaining, yeah, I did 7 of those characters on Dragon Ball Z. I did Corin the Cat, Ox King, Berter, Rings, Mori, the Grand Kai, and the Mushroom Announcer. And
Could you give us a
other
few
things,
of them? Could you give us a
yes,
few of
yes.
those voices?
All right, cool. Here's the Grand Kai. The Grand Kai is he's got like white hair, and he sounds like this. In fact, he sounds like Wolfman Jack. That's exactly what I stole. In '99, I stole this voice in order to
Hmm.
do that one. The kids
I
wouldn't
remember
know, so that's
Wolfman
why I was
Jack.
like, "Ow, Wolfman Jack!" Yeah, everybody. So that was one of them. Another one was, I'm the fastest in the Dragon Ball Z universe. Nobody's faster than me. And if you watch the Dragon Ball Z abridged, which was like a parody satire of Dragon Ball, that character got made fun of a lot because all he would say is, "I'm the fastest in the Dragon Ball Z universe. Nobody's faster than me. I'm so fast. I'm fast. I'm fast." Everything was, "I'm fast." So then we have
Yeah.
a little cat that has senzu beans, and he sounds like this. "Hey, Jirobi, let's go grab some senzu beans." But doing the voices, I didn't enjoy it as much, once again, because of the no immediate feedback.
Right.
I mean, in fact, I was touting it at all the comedy clubs. 7 voices from Dragon Ball Z. That never brought anybody into the comedy clubs. Dragon Ball Z never brought. I mean, I never had anybody. People would come up and go, "Hey, I think my kid watches that. Will you sign something for him?" You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
how it was. Okay. Then fast forward to 2020, and I'm telling somebody I did voices for Dragon Ball Z. It's like a 34-year-old kid, and he's like, "Oh my God, you're famous!" And I'm like, "What? Huh?
Yeah.
What?" And then it occurred to me, these people now have enough money, and they have enough money to go into the comedy clubs and buy stuff. So I don't know if the audience is going to transfer over like that, but it didn't. All the way from 2000 to 2015, there was nobody coming into the comedy clubs who was from the Dragon Ball Z era, because they were 16 all the way down to like 9 years old to 16 was the main demographic in 2000. So anybody 20 years later is 29 now. So now they're finally
Yeah.
going into the comedy clubs. I'm interested to see if this actually translates over.
Yeah. Now they'll remember. Yeah. Well, listen, I'm 55, and I knew it the minute I heard it. I'd get
Yes,
high
but
and
you
watch
called it
that
Dragon Ball
cartoon.
these. Dragon Balls. You called it Dragon Balls.
Dragon Balls. Dragon Balls. I just love the way that, as a martial artist myself, and I would watch
Yes.
these things, and it was always those,
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that shit.
Oh yeah. Well, and the funny thing is, I have a lot of millennials that come up to me and say, "You were the soundtrack to my childhood." And I'm like, wow, I used to listen to music. I mean, so you had headphones on listening. I mean, that's your soundtrack that you're walking around to. And I said, no wonder why you're a little high strung.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, I mean, I think it's great. And now, now you're more concentrating on the comedy, right? Now you're,
Yes, I want to get back into
this is,
doing comedy. That's my main thing, because comedy we write and then we have to perform it ourselves. So it's all of my baby. When people say, "Hey, I loved your comedy," they're saying that's all about me. You say you
Yeah.
love Dragon Ball Z. That's something somebody else wrote, and then they had a hand up my butt, and they told me what to say and how to say it. I mean, and it was very lonely as well. It wasn't like The Simpsons where they all sit around a table and everybody gets to chat. It was like I was in a telephone booth doing voices all by myself, and then they would sit there and look and make sure that the voice matched up to the lip movements. And then I would sit in the studio in the booth by myself with my headphones on, just waiting for them 2-3 minutes, waiting for them. And they say, "Okay, we got that one. That one took. Let's go ahead and try the next line." And then they would give me the next line. I would try it. 3 or 4 more minutes. They would sit there and go, "Hang on, we're moving it over to see if it matches the mouth movements." "Okay, it matched. Let's do the next one." It was a laborious process. It was not fun. I mean, in fact, we're not even tight. None of the voice actors even know each other that well.
I was going to say, I'm amazed that they actually had to match the sounds with the lips, because in that cartoon, it wasn't like they were, they were either open or fucking shut. I couldn't remember somebody's mouth.
Well, they count how many times it's open and shut. So they'll say, "Hey, he's opened his mouth 10 times here. We need a word. I mean, a sentence that has 10 syllables." So sometimes the writing would be really weird because they'd have to squeeze some type of somebody saying something and they didn't really even have a line for that person, so they just made up a line for it, so it doesn't even go with the story. Sometimes there's a line or two every now and again, so, but having to do it backwards like that, that was just no fun.
That's fine. "I'm gonna kick your ass" here and there. Fucking here and there.
Yeah, right. And during our time, we could have even kung fu movies where we didn't even have to have the lips match. I mean, we were okay with that, knowing, okay, that guy's speaking, his lips are moving, they ain't matching, but still, I understand it. Now the kids have to have it matching the mouth. I mean, that was one of the things, and I thought that was kind of odd too, because I mean, I thought Speed Racer was one of the first Japanese animes that came out ever, and I didn't like that
Yeah.
cartoon. And I wasn't really a fan of Dragon Ball Z. It moved too slow.
No, that's interesting. How did you end up getting hooked up with that? How'd you end up getting
That was an
involved with
open
that?
audition. That was an open
Yeah.
audition. So they don't do open auditions anymore. What I recommend is there's a site called voicebunny.com. People can go and listen to all the different demos, and that's the way to get it out there. And then I would go to like a Comic-Con and befriend somebody and say, hey, I've been a fan of your voice acting. If I sent you a demo of my voices, would you listen to it and give me advice? And who knows what happens? I mean, if it's an amazing demo, the guy might say, hey, I went ahead and passed that on to Chris Sabat, the guy in charge of Funimation. So, you know what I mean? So that's my recommendation nowadays, because I don't see they don't have many open auditions anymore. And it's become pretty, what is that when they hire friends and stuff like that? It's kind of
like
becoming
nepotism.
nepotistic.
Yeah.
There's been becoming a lot of that lately. A lot of, hey, so-and-so and I hang out a lot. And I've been hanging out with him for 10 years. We've been friends for 10, you know what I mean? So he gets more and more spots. The next cartoon's coming up. I don't like playing stuff like that. I'm like,
well, we're kind of seeing the same. We're kind of seeing the same thing in the comedy club world, right? Like as an opening act, a lot of times a feature act, as a feature act, you're not getting as much work because there's a lot of headliners that are just bringing their own team with them. So,
okay,
there's
I'm
a lot of
guilty.
clubs that, yeah. I mean,
That
I do
was
the
me.
same thing when I headline a room. I love to bring somebody I know. I like to offer that. And people say, well, you get people. I pick whoever especially if you're going to be in a car with somebody or sharing a hotel. Obviously, you want them to be somebody you can hang out with and be on the road with and stuff. But that's the thing. It's like you got to befriend. And like you just said, even with voiceover, that's what it is. One of the lessons I learned in comedy was if you're going to be in the green room or you're going to be around other comics, just don't be an asshole. Just don't speak unless you're spoken to. Don't be a fucking like a star-studded. Oh, I loved you in the fucking movie. No, just be fucking cool.
Don't think that
act
you're
like
there
you should
to
be
riff.
there.
You're right. Not everybody's there to riff. You know what I mean? I burnt so many bridges thinking, oh, hey, we're all comics. We're all just riffing, right? And then later on, I found out so-and-so, didn't like you. And I was like, oh, I guess I just thought we were all just riffing. But, you're right. It does rub some comics the wrong way. That's a really neat insight that you picked up on there.
Oh yeah, I mean, I mean, it's happened plenty of times where I was with a comic once, and the person I brought along to open the show, the host, and it was like, the headliner was like, hey man, you could stay at the condo I'm at, but don't bring the MC guy with you.
My favorite one happened to me one time whenever I saw, and this is an uncomfortable situation, like when you're selling stuff at the end of the show and they come up, hey, you had a great show, you had an awesome show, and then the MC standing next to you and they go, hey, I like that shirt. You know what?
We've spoken. It's so funny. We've spoken about that a few times. It's like nothing worse than sitting there and somebody comes up, like you said, like, hey, you were awesome, and then they look at you or somebody and they're like, oh, keep it up, man, keep working.
Yeah.
Trying.
Oh yeah.
You're like, oh yeah.
Well, I finally had to tell the person, whoever was selling with me, because I don't mind people selling merchandise with me, but I had to tell him, I say, hey, you can sell, but you always have to stand to the right of me. And I'm sorry, but they have to see me first. Okay. The reason they have to see me first is because if they ain't buying your shit, they're going to just be sitting right in front of your table staring at you. That's pretty awkward.
Yeah.
Hey, we're here to buy his shit. I know you're right here, but we're and sure enough, it works better for them, because usually I'll charge enough just to where they can buy theirs for another $10. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it's good that you pointed that out. Like, especially as a feature comic, as an opening act, you'll want to set up the merch because the headliner's on stage. And I always tell my friends, look, if you can, maybe grab the headliner's merch and maybe talk with them. Hey, you want me to bring your stuff out for you? Well, that we don't have to worry about it. Be helpful.
That's it.
And then, you bring his stuff out. I mean, sometimes you can go the crazy setting it up for them if you want. Next thing you know, you're going to be probably blowing them, while you're at it. But
and hey, you'll be on the road with me. You want a feature for me? Is that what you were asking just now?
Yeah, exactly. Hey man, I'm fucking feature. But you do that,
You
you
mentioned
get
some
that, and
roadhead. You mentioned some
uh,
roadhead.
yeah, well, shit. I mean, you're a China man, so I don't have to worry about getting don't have to taking on too much work there. I
Oh, there you go. There you go.
you know
I
what I mean?
fucked
Why
a
not?
mosquito once.
I'm not saying I got a big dick, but I made a mosquito come once. I
Yeah, there you go. I got VD. Got VD to prove
yeah, I got I got the drip from a mosquito.
it.
That's funny. But like and it's funny because that those are little things of common sense. Like if you're going to have the table, if the crowd's coming out from over here, let's say, then
Yeah.
the headliner should get the first. The people
Yeah.
should see the headliner first, so you take the second
Oh, yeah.
spot at the table. You know.
Yes, because it is awkward. It really is. And like I said, they would usually get the change and then go buy his. But if he was first and they weren't buying his, they just sit there and stare at you like, "Hey,
Yeah.
that was funny."
Yeah, they're embarrassing. All right. Well, let's talk about some good news. One of our topics today was, a matter of fact, it happened so quick, but Elon Musk has now purchased Twitter, and that's great news. And I thought this story was funny, but there's a lot of talk about Bill Gates. If you're a conspiracy theorist, you think he's part of the Illuminati, the New World Order. And you know what? I just, matter of fact, this is off script. I was when I was driving from Little Rock back to South Carolina, I was catching, there was a replays, I guess, of the Howard Stern show, and he had a replay when he had Neil Young on. And he mentioned, fucking Howard Stern sits there and he goes, "Neil, why are you standing in front of that big globe, a poster of a globe? Like you have America behind you." But I guess he had a poster of the globe, and he goes, Are you trying to say that you really want to see one government, one world order? I mean, isn't that where? And I can't believe he's saying that shit. And I even matter of fact, there was a few months back, if not longer, where Jane Fonda was on his show. If you go back and you look up the show and Jane Fonda was on there, she even says, she makes a comment, and nobody said it, that she knew the pandemic was coming. She, she's Turner, Ted Turner's ex-wife. They have property in Montana and shit, and they're saying how, she came out and said, well, we knew it was going to happen. We didn't know what, but, so I was in the basement in my apartment. Therefore, we knew it was going to come. I'm like, what? That's fuck. Interesting about that. But listen, Bill Gates, very questionable. But he wanted to work with Elon Musk to do some philanthropic work. And then when they met, Musk realized that Bill Gates had a short position on Tesla.
Yes.
So
wasn't it like 500 billion short?
Yeah.
Wasn't it? I don't think it was million. I think it was $500 billion was what he had down on the short of it.
Let's see. I think you're right. It was 500 million.
500 million. Okay, so $500 billion then. But it was, yeah, because I remember reading it and just going, wow. I thought it was $500 billion, but I don't know if he had 500 billion to put up. Think about that. That would tilt the.
It's probably 500 million.
Probably 500.
Either way,
still,
you still have a short on it.
That was a text message, and it got leaked somehow.
Yeah,
and that was weird.
Now I was kicked off.
I wouldn't work with Bill Gates. I wouldn't. He's buying all of that farmland. He's buying most of the farmland in the U.S. and then trying to get us to eat fake meat. He's for that Beyond Meat. I think he's got a long position in the Beyond Meat.
Well, that stock's fallen. I mean, we also hear about corporations buying properties. Even you talk about like China has bought a lot of farmland in our country, which is I find that even hard to, like, how could you let them control our farmland? You wouldn't let them buy our port. You wouldn't let them buy a port, but you let them buy our farmland.
Didn't they not? Didn't they own the port in San Francisco for a while, or didn't they? Was it an LA port that they owned?
Yeah, I think there was partial ownership, and they got taken out. And I thought they were, last I remember, I think it was 10 years ago, or they were trying to buy a port in Louisiana. They were trying to like own one of the ports that was damaged. I think one of the hurricanes, and they wouldn't let them get it. But
we can't own any of their stuff, which is weird. We can't own any of their stuff, but yet they can own our stuff. So that's odd. That's an odd position for me. And I'm from China. Sorry.
Yeah. No. It's listen. I always said I want to learn Cantonese or or Mandarin. I guess Cantonese is the more spoken one, right?
No,
Um,
yeah, I thought Mandarin, Cantonese, yeah. I don't. My
yeah,
mom raised me round eye. That's the weird part about it is I don't know anything about the culture, and that's why I went by Chinaman because it's the
yeah,
most. It was the most ironic thing to me. You know what I mean? So I don't know
yeah.
any of the culture. She wanted American kids, and this was it right here. This is an American Asian kid right here.
There you go. Well, listen, and in Asia, there's no feminine, there's no girly men anymore, right? China, Xi Jinping said no more feminine men on TV and everything. But Disney still doesn't
They're
have a
all
problem with it.
effeminate. We're all effeminate. We don't have any body hair. Think about this. We don't have any body hair. We eat soy all day. I mean, think about all the Asian, and that's why they don't have any body hairs because they've been eating soy, and most of the stuff is soy, and they're bringing it to the U.S. That's why everybody's maybe that's what it is. All of these young kids are starting to look Chinese. They've got that Chinese physique. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
that skinny physique, that skinny soy physique.
Exactly. And I don't know. I mean, that's why all these all these kids that don't even know their sex anymore,
Oh my
which is
God.
crazy.
Don't get me
But
started. Don't get me started.
we're glad we're yeah, I know. Well, we're glad Elon Musk now owns Twitter. Hopefully, I'll get back on there. I was kicked off Twitter, suspended for something I said to somebody. It was pretty tame, especially in lieu of responding what they were saying to me. Definitely a liberal source. Currently, the Twitter.
Well, hashtag me too. I was I was taken off of Twitter as well in 2017.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and
I
I,
think
I thought it was a place for us to scrap. I thought it was a place for everybody just to scrap verbally. But apparently people can't handle how we scrap verbally.
Yeah, I had a woman call me lonely, fat, ugly, nobody must like me, and then I told her I would step over your naked body to blow the corpse of Freddie Mercury, and that was hate speech, and they kicked me off.
Oh
Just for
wow.
that. Yeah. So, I had like 7,000 followers and that's kind of shit. But it'd be interesting to see if he does something with Twitter, and that'll be great. The
I
next
hope he
thing on the
resets.
topic
I
list,
hope he resets everybody. If he resets everybody, you and I are back in, man. And did you have a blue check?
no blue
Did you
check.
have no blue check? See, I didn't even understand. I sometimes have a time connecting the dots. I didn't understand that a blue check was something special. I had a blue check and I lost the whole thing. I was like, oh, so that's why people were responding to me. I didn't even
Yeah.
understand it until I was kicked off. I was like, oh, I get it now. No wonder why Jake Tapper responded to me one time. And I'm like, why would Jake Tapper respond to somebody who has 700 followers? And then after I got kicked off, somebody was like, "You have a blue check?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you got kicked off and you have a blue check." And I was like, "Is that something special?" But yeah, come to find out it was. So next time I'm
Yeah,
gonna do a little more research.
yeah, it's good to know. It's good to know thyself, as Shakespeare said. Um, Another good news, we're getting closer to perhaps not having any masks on an airplane, which is great because I still see people walking out in public outside with masks on. And when I see this, I can't help but say something. I always say, "Take the mask off, stupid." I mean, yeah, I mean, it's just
Stupid's a
amazing
good
that
way to make
people are.
friends. Stupid's a good way to make
Yes,
friends. If you end it with
yeah,
stupid, maybe we pick another line besides stupid. Just hey, take the mask off. Let's breathe. Maybe something like that.
yeah. Take the mask off, genius.
Yeah, there you go. I like that.
Yeah.
That's better.
Don't be, we're not, don't be, you could be selfish with the air. We still got enough left. Global warming isn't that fucked up where you don't have enough oxygen left on that. But, on a plane, I mean, I mean, I've had COVID twice, thank God I never had it seriously. I had, some whatever minor nonsense, but you know what I mean? I'm like, people were like, you don't worry about being on a plane. I don't give a shit about being, like at this point, how is anybody scared? I mean, I know people have died from COVID, but we fucking have gone nuts over a virus that has a 99.9% fucking survival rate. And that's why, and then people like they find out that I'm living when I was in Florida, like, oh, you're from Florida, oh, oh, you're one of these fucking crazy. I'm like, dude, really fucking lax. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah. Yeah, well, if
I,
anything, I'm thankful for COVID because it allowed me to see who I really did want to hang out with and didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, come into our house, and but if you come to our house, it's going to need a vaccine. You're going to need proof of vaccination and a mask. Oh, okay. Hey, thanks. I'm going to go ahead and pass this time. And that's the last
Yeah.
text that they'll ever get. It's like, you're a little nutso. I don't need to keep hanging with this.
Wasn't that amazing that people were doing that? Like, listen, you can't, like, they were okay with it. Look, if you don't have a fucking vaccine, you can't come to my house. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
you know what happened? But if you have a vaccine, you can still catch it and you can still give it. Yeah. So what the fuck is that? Like in other words, you're gonna impede on our friendship over this stupid aspect, you know,
Thank you.
and it wouldn't even matter. I mean, I could,
Yeah.
but if I did get it, I wouldn't go to the hospital. Well, 97% of the fucking people who do get it don't go. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
it's like I think we're the only country that's waking up to it. You know, you mentioned China; they're locking people down, which is causing economic issues. Some people are actually now saying that China is doing this on purpose to affect the
I think it
U.S.
was fake.
economy.
That could be faked. China realizes you can fake the moon landing. You can fake, you can just show a small area of the city and say, hey, look who's on lockdown. Look at what's going
Yeah,
on over here. I mean, look at that one video that came out when COVID first came out of that lady fainting. There was somebody who fainted and face planted, and people were like, oh my gosh, this thing's going to kill people. None of
yeah,
that ever came to fruition. I think that they're
yeah,
fighting that war,
yeah. You're right. You never know. It could just be all that. And but
trying to
listen,
get us to lock
one.
down again. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that's ever going to happen here again. I think that's been the lockdowns have been proving a complete failure. You know, but we had a generation of kids that didn't go to school for a year and a half almost, and they're fucking stupid. You know, that's all we
Yeah.
need, our kids to be even more stupid.
You're right.
You know, and the thing is, these kids today, they all think they have the fucking answers. You know, I'm writing a bit about Google geniuses and hindsight Hindus. You know, these fucking people. Like I have a friend of mine on Facebook. He has no proficiency in the financial planning world. He is not a fiduciary. You know, he's read a couple articles here and there, and this fucking and this 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 ass hat, you know, will sit there and get into a debate with me and another comic who actually has a finance background and starts pulling, oh, well, here's an article from so and so. I'm like, you douche. I go, you don't realize that every article that you could pull up has probably 30 articles that would contradict, you know, that article.
You're
Like if your intelligence, if your intelligence is completely shut off if the internet goes out, you're not a fucking brilliant person. You know, and it's just these people that argue about shit and they have no proficiency in anything. They've never done anything. You know, they never accomplished, like, if you like 10,000 hours, if you're going to be like, I've been doing comedy now 15 years. So I could say there's certain things I've learned and I would share with people, you know, from that learning. But if I'm
yeah.
standing next to fucking, you know, Brian Kalin or, you know, some well-known comic or, you know, fucking, a legend. I'm not going to sit there and say, "Oh, well, you know what I think." No, we don't give a fuck what you like. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just people seem to think that they fucking matter, and they don't. You know, some people just don't fucking matter based on certain topics. Just saying.
Well, I think that had to do with social media. You know, as soon as social media came out and everybody was a rock star, everybody was I have a YouTube channel. I'm an influencer. I do this. You know what I mean? It's like, wow. You know, I had to take kind of a break between 2009 all the way to like 2016 from social media, just because,
Yeah,
man, everyone was on YouTube. Everyone was having their own little thing going on. Nobody cared about your thing. And it makes you look, social media makes you look unthoughtful as well, because you'll see a friend and be like, hey, oh, wow, so you had a kid? Yeah, man, we had that kid like last January. You don't remember? Okay, hey, I'm not on your Facebook all the time. I don't just, that's not
yeah,
what I do. It made everybody narcissists. Like, you
yeah,
should know
yeah,
that. You know, and it's
yeah,
like, no, I shouldn't. Only if I'm following you constantly should I know that.
yeah. That happened. That happened when when I bought a house. Like I had friends say, "You didn't know my wife, my brother, or someone's a realtor," and I'm like, "How the fuck would I know that?" You know what I mean? I'm like, "Well, I put it on Facebook," you know. And then you get
Yeah,
those
I put it.
people where you then you get those people that say, you know, you never fucking tell me about when you have the shows. I'm like, dude, every time I have a fucking show, I put it on Facebook. You know what I mean? I let people know.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. But it just
So
slides off the wall. It's inefficient as well. So in my head, it's like I don't know what to do about this social media thing. I just post my gigs and promotional stuff basically and leave because during Orange Mad bad times, I was getting into a lot of arguments. So
yeah, yeah, me too. I actually got some people. I was very vocal, and listen, anybody who's trying to defend our current administration, just stop, just fucking stop. You know,
okay,
it anybody who could say they're better off today than they were fucking back then is a fucking liar. Like you know what I mean? Put down the pipe. Stop drinking the fucking Kool-Aid. There's only about
right?
18% of the country that thinks this guy's doing anything worth a while. And you know, stop it and stop bringing up Trump. Trump, you know, Trump has nothing to do with the failures of our current president. Trust me.
Yes,
He's
yes,
done it all on his own. Picking staff members in administrations based on their sex or their fucking color. I mean, his
yeah.
first pick, the vice president, is clearly the worst fucking pick any president ever fucking chose of a vice president.
Oh, no doubt, hands
So,
down, hands down.
yeah, let's get to some good news. New Jersey now has recreational weed, and that's pretty good.
Yay!
Uh, I
I
think we're a
think
little
yay. I
closer.
don't know. I'm gonna light to that.
Yeah, God, where's my vape pen? I, you know, I mean, I always said that who needs it to be legal? I mean, who's going to? I haven't smoked because it's not legal, but you know, it's good. I think we're a little closer. We are a little closer to a federal legalization. I think we're about a few years away from that happening. And of course, it'll happen when I stop smoking weed. So I think that's going to be the point when I know it passes is when I say I'm done. I'm just not going to smoke anymore. That's probably what will
One of the
happen.
reasons, one of the right, one of the reasons I moved to Colorado was because I had been smoking, you know, since 2000 at least. So I mean, and so I was in Texas, not smoking legally, and I was getting dirt weed from Mexico, and I'm like, man, I could probably save a lot of money if we just moved to Colorado. We'd get better weed. I wouldn't have to look over my
Mhm.
shoulder. You know, I wouldn't have to say if we're driving down the road, hey, honey, if we get pulled over, I'm going to have to slide you the weed because I'm going to be the one to bail you out. You know what I mean? I don't have to say that once I got here to Colorado.
here, here, shove this up your ass.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, it's beautiful when it's like that. You know, and it's great. I mean, just to walk into a dispensary and buy something, it's unbelievable.
But I don't
Our
know about
last,
recreational. Do you support recreational? I mean, because in the end, it brings a lot more riffraff. I think that if you have to have the license, that you know, it kind of validates something a little more if you have the license in order to do it. Do you know what I mean? I mean, if just every felon can go grab some weed, I mean, it might chill them out. But you know, I mean, it's not going to get them laid. I've never gotten laid whenever I've been high. I mean, if I go to a show high, I don't. There's no action. Nobody flirts with me. I don't have any game. You know?
yeah, yeah, weed never turned me into a fucking George Hamlin type, you know, or
No.
Dr. Smooth. Um, yeah, I can tell you who definitely wasn't smoking weed. This guy who was sitting behind Mike Tyson on an airplane. You know, out of all the people that you want to fuck with, you know, out of all the people you want to fuck with, you really want to fucking poke the bear that is known as Mike Tyson. And you know, we saw this story, and you know, let me look at this fucking loser. I mean, he
Oh
looks
yeah.
like he's Eastern European. This guy. I
Yeah,
don't
he
know. I
does.
could be wrong. You know, I mean, he looks like he just got off. He looks like Putin when he was like 28 years old. Looks like a 28-year
Yeah.
old Putin. Look at him.
He might be. He
Look at
could be
we going.
Ukrainian. Don't
Yes.
go there. He could be Ukrainian. You don't know.
He's right now. He's saying, "I want to take Ukraine and Donbass." Let's first of all, Ben. Do we have the video? Let's show the video of Tyson beating the shit out of
Yeah.
this guy. This is great because, I mean,
Hey, Mike, come on. Let's go stop that.
Look at that.
hey,
Look
Mike,
at that.
hey,
Hey, Mike, come on. Let's go stop
don't
that.
stop him.
That's the
I mean, why would you
equivalent of
stop Mike Tyson?
the equivalent of a 15-second speed bag video on TikTok. You know, that's kind of what he came at him with was a. It wasn't really. I mean, it wasn't really huge punching, but I mean, you think of the speed bag. That's a 15-second TikTok video. He could have gotten viral with that.
He could have, and I'm surprised. I imagine he did, and you know, I'm surprised he wasn't like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, motherfucker, I'm gonna beat your ass, you stupid fuck." You know, I was waiting to hear some him, but some voice on that. But people say like, what the fuck did this guy do? But here's the video of what the guy was doing that led up to this.
Fuck your boss, fuck my boss. And we can party.
This is George talking to Mike Tyson, bro. This shit crazy, bro. Mike Tyson.
We can party.
Oh, done got lit, man. He over here rapping with Tyson. Mike Tyson trying to give us some shrooms. You don't know how to act.
He was bugging him the
Oh,
whole
right.
time.
Yeah, he's standing behind him, dancing and pointing at him and shit and stuff like that. You know, again,
He's got to be in first class, right? That's in first class. So this guy had
Yeah.
a first class ticket. I mean, and so he's behind him. He was just surprised that Tyson was there and was talking. But, you know, Tyson says, everybody got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. I mean, you saw that guy, his plan was just talk. He didn't have another plan besides that. There was no plan B.
well, the
typical
question was
liberal.
was he fucked up? Did he look of it? The guy did look. He looked like he was, you know, he didn't look like he was well. But it was surprising. He wasn't some sort of business class. It looked like some intercontinental travel, potentially, you know, some overseas. But you know, again, this I can tell you one thing: this guy is definitely not going to be opening for Mike Tyson on his comedy tour. He's not going to be chosen as a feature act, acting a fool like that. So,
Is Tyson doing a comedy tour? Was Tyson doing a comedy tour?
remember he was going around doing something where he would talk and shit, and he'd have other people. Or I'm also
That's
thinking
the new
about that
thing,
was.
though. That's the new thing. A lot of comics are doing that now. I mean, did you see who's the guy from wrestling? The guy who has kind of a half a mask on. He's a crazy guy from wrestling. And I can't think of his name, but he's going and touring comedy clubs now.
Yeah, Nick. His name is Nick something. Yeah,
Yes.
he used to be.
He was just at
at some
Looney's.
point. Yeah,
He was just at
but people. He
Looney's.
tells stories that I've seen. People love his acts. He'll tell these fucking crazy stories of wrestling and shit. Have you ever seen him perform?
No, but I mean, isn't that what comedy is? I mean, we're just telling stories, and so
Yeah,
I mean,
pretty
in the end, I saw Kid Chris from Kid and Play. I don't know if you're familiar with him from Kid and Play, the guy with the flat top. He does comedy as well. In 2003, he was starting in comedy. You know, he was trying to move to the comedy stage, and he would do a show at the Improv. They would call me in to headline. He would go up and open, do 15 minutes, and he would introduce me, and I would do 45, and then he would come back up and do 10 more and say goodnight. I mean, but now he's doing full hour shows. I mean, he's killing it now. I mean, his skill set's amazing. But I mean, that's the way that I've seen a lot of actors starting to get into comedy. So I'm not shocked Mike Tyson would do that. So
yeah, I would. I think he'd be entertaining to listen to. But well, just don't piss him off in an airplane. All right, everybody, it's time for the news is a joke, and this is where comics we go over headlines, and you know, we make fun of them somehow, and usually it's a team effort, but it'll be just the two of us. We're both trained comics. Hopefully we can make them funny and entertaining. Our first story, Cuba Gooding Jr. Let's see why I didn't to host event at New York City strip club just less than 2 weeks after he pleaded guilty for forcible touching.
wow.
I guess if you touch, I mean, what's forcible touching? Like, is that making somebody like touch my dick, grabbing somebody's hand and put it on your dick? I mean, is that forcible touching?
Forcible touching. I don't show me on the bear where he forcibly touched you. I mean, I don't ever hear anybody say it that way. I just hear it. Show me on the bear where he touched you. Well, was his forcibly touching at another strip club? Because if not, then he's just practicing. He's learning. We're kind of bringing him back into the fold to try to get him used
because
to
that's
touching
what.
people.
If any man has ever learned how to grope or forcibly touch someone, it's at a strip club. You know what I mean? Because when they're naked and they're all over you, you can't help but like, you know, I gotta touch you.
Okay. This happened more than once. I was a DJ at a strip club, and for a couple of years, and the girls there more than once this happened. The girls came up and say, "You got to kick that guy out now." She would come off the stage, and I'm like, "Why?" He put a finger in my butt. While you're on stage? I mean, so apparently when she was doing that downward dog position, But I mean, who does that? It happened more than
Yeah.
once, is what I'm saying. This forcibly touch thing is real, all right? So
Yes.
it doesn't
Yes.
usually start there. Normally, they get at least $1 for a finger in the butt.
Yeah. And they got a prescription to get their prostate checked. This actually the allocation where he groped a woman was at the Magic Hour rooftop bar, where he was accused of groping, just a few blocks away, where he's emceeing a strip club event. And for any comics out there that are upset that they used to perform in theaters and then they went down to stick clubs and down to B rooms, at least Cuba Gooding Jr. won an Oscar, didn't he? And something like that. He was an Oscar nominated. He was a great actor. We saw him, and he was in Radio. Great actor. He was in Jerry Maguire, right?
Wow, he should do Comic-Con. Comic-Con's a better place for him than the strip club. I mean, I would think, yeah. I mean, he would make some money there at least.
He's now Gooding's required to undergo alcohol and behavior counseling for 6 months. Wow. And that's all I got to go through after groping a woman. At any rate, good for him. I'm glad he's doing that. So I guess next thing you know, he'll be on the road with Mike Tyson on the groping and biting ear tour.
Well, groping's a he said, she said thing, though, too. So, all right.
Yeah.
Groping is my
next
cousin.
story, a Florida mom was arrested after leaving a voicemail threatening to blow up her son's school because he wanted more food at lunch. Listen, my fat fuck son is hungry, so if you don't give him another fucking French toast, I'm going to blow the fucking school up. Enabling parent, you think this kid's going to grow up to be a normal kid?
I mean, who wants double portions of school food for their kid? That's what that's what I'm wondering.
Yeah. Mom, I told you, Mom, I don't want more. I want less.
Yes. I mean,
no more fucking, no more, what are those things called? My wife loves them, the fucking tater tots. No more fucking soggy tater tots. 41-year-old mother was arrested this week after being accused of threatening to blow up her son's school because he wanted more food at lunch. Fat fuck. Law enforcement officials said the woman, Anaya Smith, was taken into custody on Wednesday after feeding her son a big fucking chicken wing. If you don't start feeding my motherfucking children better at the beating, I'm going to come around and blow the fucking place up, motherfuckers. Wow. I guess she's going to be not be part of the PTA meeting, to say the least. Family sues country club, wins nearly $5 million due to too many golf balls damaging their home. I lived on a golf course, and when I bought the house on the golf course, I knew the risks of buying a house on a golf course. That's why the house I bought was on the tee box. In other words, you teed off. So if somebody would have hit my house, they would have had to be a really shitty golfer. But aside from that, if you live on a fucking golf course, you got to expect your house to be pelted. It's just going to get hit.
Yeah, I'd never understood wanting to live on a golf course, but I would want to hear from people who had lived near the end, like instead of at the beginning, like you, because you're right. You'd have to really shag it. You'd have to be horrible in order to hit your place.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I there's especially where I used to play, but in Florida when you golf, a lot of the houses have those barrel tiles, the ceramic barrel tiles, and you could see, especially from where they got hit, because you see the fucking tiles cracked and shit, And I would have crazy friends I'd play golf with, and they're like, "Fuck the hole, let's see if we can crack a tile." We start slamming drivers out into the 300 yards into somebody's house. Yeah, the jury awarded the family $3.5 million for damages and mental and emotional suffering. If you live in a house that's on a golf course, how much emotion are you really suffering? You have a house. Must be nice. You're on a fucking golf course. You probably got a 2-car driveway.
Yeah. People in glass houses should not live on golf courses. I don't know. There's something.
There is there. Our next story. A woman with 229 pounds of weed in her car runs out of gas on I-55. Well, I didn't know. She looks like Cruella. That's a lot of weed, right? I mean, 229 pounds. That was
she
me when
couldn't
I was fighting.
afford gas. You couldn't afford gas. That's the weird part. Is you had, I
Yeah.
mean, you only had one job. Get the weed to the house. That was it. Okay.
Yeah. Transport it. And it's 229 pounds a week. Like, it's like you can't leave it. Like 229 pounds is a lot of weed. That's how much I weighed when I was fighting. That was my Thai boxing fighting weight, was 220 pounds. And that is a lot of fucking weed. And so you can imagine, she pulls up to the gas station, she pulls out a bag of weed. Can I trade my weed? Can I give you some of this weed for some petrol? I need some fucking
Okay,
gas.
so she's pulled over on the side of the road. The weed had to have been in the back seat or something, because in the end, you just keep your fucking trunk shut and just say, "Hey, I ran out of gas. Can you get me to a gas station?" How did they find it? What did they say? "Hey, can you open your trunk? Do you have a gas can in your trunk?" Or did she open it to get a gas can? How did they find it? If I had 229 pounds, it's in the trunk. It's not in the back
Yeah,
seat.
the fucking car at 229 pounds, the car was probably doing wheelies. Memphis police said a Chevrolet Suburban was left abandoned out of gas on the road.
Oh,
Arkansas State Police
that's
moved
why.
the vehicle from the bridge to the Metal Museum, with Suburban's driver, 54-year-old Catherine Murdish, returned for the car after she was told the Suburban, which had been involved in a crash on the bridge, was going to be inventoried and towed. However, the chance of making a clean green getaway went up in smoke when the officers smelled marijuana. You guys smell that?
Okay.
And how 229 pounds of weed is going to smell.
She left the car. You left the car. You didn't have a phone. Couldn't call anybody else. Hey, guy who I have your 229 pounds of weed. Can you come to where I'm at with a gas can?
Yeah, we got a situation here.
What happened? What did you do with the car? I just left it. Well,
Yeah.
You just left it.
On a bridge. On a fucking
Wow.
bridge.
No,
Yeah.
you wait with the car, and then somebody else is gonna go get the gas for you. That's so dumb. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, if you're gonna hire a drug mule, keeping on the the subject of weed, firefighters battle heavy smoke at a medical cannabis dispensary in Clearwater. And all the firemen went out for pizza after.
Right.
Hey man, I'm feeling funny, dude. Just give me more.
That did
hose,
look
bro.
like a scene from Cheech and Chong. That did look like I think they did have a scene like that where they were burning getting rid of all the weed, and they were standing in the weed, or was it like, yeah. Anyways, that sounds like a Keystone Cop.
It was up in smoke, right? When they had that van, the van they took from Mexico was made of weed, right? Grabbing, and the muffler was burning the weed, and everybody was getting high.
Yes.
And it was the weed that turned the officer into a lizard, right? There was something wrong with the fucking weed. It was poisoned or something.
I think Paul Rubens was in that one.
Yeah.
Pee Wee Herman was in that one. That was his first. I'm sorry, I stole the van. I'm sorry, I stole the pot. Whatever he was saying, yeah. But that was my first introduction to Pee Wee Herman back then.
Yeah,
that was
that's true.
So this dispensary, when they say that it burned up, how did it start? Did they say how it started? I mean, how do you start a fire in a dispensary besides burning some weed?
Yeah, it says posted showing thick smoke coming from MUV medical cannabis structure. The business is within.
Lighting rig.
Yeah, it didn't say. It doesn't say how it started.
Okay.
Yeah. Somebody got high and fell asleep. Who knows? I mean, you don't want to be lighting a lot of fucking lighters and shit at a fireworks store. You definitely want to watch your fire in a weed place. Especially if the weed's been there for a while and it's dried out a little bit. But yeah, and listen, the whole neighborhood got high. That was the best part. Everybody in Clearwater was high as fuck and relaxed for a week. The stress level, the road rage incidents in Clearwater cleared up for about 4 days after all that happened.
Right.
Nevertheless. All right, our next story. An alleged smuggler with $40,000 worth of gold was hidden under his wig and inside his rectum. Now, I
Damn
don't
near
imagine
killed
how
him.
much. Here's the thing: the guy has a big old bar shoved up his ass, and then he puts his little bit. Like, did he go? Okay, I can only put so much gold in my ass. Let's put the rest on this fucking toupee.
You know, your father, he held this bar of gold in his ass for 10 days. And now, little man, I give the bar of gold to you. You know? Okay, think about, I wanted to Google that because I wanted to see how big a bar of $40,000 in gold would look. Or okay, he had half of it on his
Yeah.
skull. So let's just say $20,000. I'm wondering if I could hold that in my rectum for the, I don't know how, it's only $20,000. I probably wouldn't be worth it. Oh, well, he's got one of
Yeah,
those
I
little
mean,
skull things. He's got a silicone. So the other one must be that big too, but you can't tell how big it is. It's only as big as a thumb.
well, I mean, yeah,
On his head.
I would have been like, dude, put it all in my fucking. I would have been like, I would have been 7'4" by the time they put all the gold instead of shoving it up my ass. I got a fucking head
Put it
like
in my-
this. Yeah.
Put it on my teeth. Just let me go with gold. Let me jaws it from 007.
Yeah. Let me just wrap it around my cock. That'd be better. Yeah, people are doing this. We had another story that happened this before, but carrying gold on flights is not itself illegal, but passengers must declare the quantity they have. And you have any gold on you, sir? I don't have any gold on me. I got some gold in me.
There you go.
It's all semantics. And our last story: baby born with 2 penises has larger one chopped off by the doctors, and an immediate malpractice suit was filed.
Wow.
Wow. A boy born with 2 penises had to have one removed, and the doctors chose to take the larger one off. The child from Brazil was one of a rare infants born with a second appendage, and its removal was documented in a new medical journal. Say, no, not that one. The condition called diphalia is typically seen in 1 in a million babies, and doctors in Sao Paulo say only 100 men have been reported with the condition in medical literature. Yeah, I mean, you have 2 penises. Are they like this or are they like that? You know, if they're like this, then you can have one down each pant leg. You know, chicks, and if you're at a strip club, doesn't matter if the girl on your right, the girl on your left starts rubbing your leg. But if why would the doctor cut off the fucking big one?
Lucky than the other. What's that?
Yeah, I mean, why would you? Like, the doctor had the choice. He could have chopped off the fucking little pecker, but he chopped off the bigger pecker.
Yeah,
did he take it home to his own son?
I'm still on the titty dancing one. I'm still on the titty dancing one because I mean, if one of the titty dancers is going to get the bigger one because there's one that's bigger and there's one that's not. You know what I mean?
Right.
But what if you have better motion on your right side and it's the smaller one? So the better motion's coming from the smaller one. And okay, never mind.
Yeah.
We're overthinking.
Yeah, maybe the big cock is a stupid dunce, and he just but the other cock is real intelligent, and he's like, look, I'm gonna get us all fucking laid. Just listen to me. Don't think with the big head. Think with the little head.
Right.
And there you go.
Well, I mean, who decided that? That's wow. That was quite a decision that they had to make, though. But it might have been grossly oversized. I mean, did they tell you what the different sizes were in the article?
They didn't detail the difference in the girth or the length of the penis. But the doctor must have been jealous. I'm just guessing that the surgeon or the gyno, whoever it was who delivered the baby, has a little cock, and he says, "Oh, this baby's got 2 cocks. You know what? He doesn't need a big one. That's just going to get him in trouble. Let's cut that fucker off." Who made you God and be the cock cutter? Imagine growing up. Imagine this kid. What's that?
They could have kept that to themselves because when this kid grows up, he's going to be pissed. It was like you didn't need to you didn't need to tell me I was circumcised, because now I'm believing I lost some girth. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why did you even have to tell me that was a thing, Mom and Dad?
Yeah. Could you imagine he wants to find the doctor? Like when he's 18, the parents share with, well,
Yeah.
you used to have a really big cock and the doctor cut it off. And now you're stuck with that one, and he goes and visits, knocks on the doctor's door. You remember me? I don't remember you. He pulls down his pants. You remember me now? Oh, the guy with the little dick. Well, I had a big one
Yeah,
until you cut it off, you fuck. And then he shoots him and the circle of life is complete. Well, much like the circle of life is complete, we are also complete with today's Wake Up Late with Dougie show. I want to thank my good friend Mark Kid Walk Britton for joining us today, and great having you on, dude. Great talking to you, and always interesting.
Thanks for having me. If anybody wants to figure out where I'm at, you can go to kidwalk.com, KIDWOK.com, and smell what the walk is cooking.
There you go. Any shows coming up?
Yes, I will be in June. I have a anime fest in Wichita, Kansas, that I will be doing on June 24th, 25th, and 26th. And then on the night of the 26th, I will be doing one night only at the Looney Bin in Wichita, Kansas. So I'm trying to pair these together, man, to make it eat better for travel.
That's awesome. Yeah, say hi to Biggs over there. Always great in the Wichita, staying in the condo there in the building with no windows and.
That was one of my arguments when they designed the club, because even though the staff said that they didn't consult anybody in the staff about how they were going to build anything. They didn't even consult the comics for, hey, if we built condos back there, yeah, well, maybe some windows would be nice. Do you know what I mean? Like if you go in the back bar area, everybody's in everybody's way in the back. I once went back there to get a drink, and the waitresses were like, hey, can you, we're using this area. We have to come over here. Then we have to get glasses over here. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I said, I don't know where to stand. Everybody else is out in the lobby, and then they were just like, well, they didn't consult anybody. They just had everything built. They didn't ask us if we wanted the sink over by where our dirty glasses are. So now we have to bring the dirty glasses over to the sink. I'm like, oh, no way.
That's crazy.
So, I mean, so that was crazy stuff. And then there's that one seat in the front row. You performed on that stage, right? There's one seat that's like in a little cul-de-sac area, a little front area, little pocket, where if those people whisper, it sounds like they're having a regular conversation, and you'll rip them one. You'll be like, hey, I don't go to your job and blah, blah, blah. And then everybody in the back is like, that guy just lost it. Why did he just lose it on that guy? Because you think everybody else has heard everything that was at that table. No. So they didn't consult with the room is shaped weird. But anyways, you can see me there.
Check him out. Check him out there.
One night only. I don't have to stay at the condo. I'm not staying at the condo.
Yeah, there you go. One night only. So go check out Kid Walk, everybody. Thanks for joining us. And like I said, that's the end of another show for us. We will be most likely be back next week with an all-new show. It depends. And but stick around. And don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube. We need all the extra subscribers. We want to have our own YouTube channel. Use our own name on there, of course, and go to DougieAlmeida.com, Dougie Almeida YouTube channel, subscribe there as well. Got a bunch of shows coming up here locally in Charlotte and in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And I'm heading back to Florida for some dates. So go to DougieAlmeida.com and check out where I'll be. And follow me on Instagram at Dougie Dangerous. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. God bless. Stay well. And we'll see you here next week at the same spot. Take care.